All right, so today we're going to talk about our global wind systems. So these are something you want to keep in mind when you think about how energy is transferred on the Earth. So I've already added in our latitude. We have 0 degrees, so our equator in the center, 30 degrees north, 60 degrees north, North Pole, and then 30 degrees south, 60 degrees south, South Pole. Now what we want to think about is where does the most sunlight actually come? And if you said the equator, you're right. This is where most of our direct sunlight comes. So we have excess heat here. And we're going to distribute this heat with the wind. So above the equator, we have the northeast trade winds. And they're called trade winds because they were commonly used to trade goods when we first started shipping between Europe and the United States, well, North America at the time. And the southeast trade winds. So these are popular trade routes. Now, they blow from the southeast in the southern hemisphere and from the northeast in the northern hemisphere, rather. And what they're going to do is when these areas converge, it's known as the ITC, or Intertropical Convergence Zone. So what we do, at this point, the air comes together and it causes it to rise upward, making a low pressure system. When air rises, you get low pressure, and you also are going to have condensation occurring to form clouds. Now, above the trade winds, you have the westerlies. These are your prevailing westerlies. These are what dominate the United States, and they blow from the west to the east. So you have your westerlies. In this area here, you have air diverging apart. So this one's going in the opposite direction of the other one. So that means air is sinking here, and that would be a high pressure area. So you would be less likely to have storms in this area. Now, above that, you have what's called the polar easterlies. So the polar easterlies bring down the cold from the northern portion of the Earth towards the southern portions of the Earth. And in this case, this is what brings our cold air out of Canada at times, and it can cause some big storms in the wintertime or nor'easters for us. So these are your polar winds, and again, air converges here, so that means we have rising or a low pressure system. So we end up with low, high, low. And here, diverging air at the very top of the North Pole here, so this would be a high pressure area. So it mirrors as you go down on the southern hemisphere. You would have sinking air at 30 degrees south, you'd have rising air at 60 degrees, and then sinking air at the very top for a high pressure system. So notice that our northern hemisphere mirrors our southern hemisphere, and that's how the wind is going to be distributed across the Earth.